We'll start with the English Premier League. What do you see unfolding with the English
Mm,
Premier League? What do you see and then we'll get to the Champions League. But English Premier League first. Looking at the
mm,
performance of the top five, how do you see that
yeah.
unfolding? Do Nottingham Forest have the squad depth and the tenacity to stay amongst those big dogs? Will Arsenal,
Mm,
underperform again? Liverpool
mm.
are most likely to take the league again because of Manchester City's performance. That's just my
Yeah.
opinion. Where do you just go?
Well, I believe Liverpool will go all the way. I think it's their season. I think the quality of the squad and even when to substitute the impact players they bring off the bench is on a different level. When it comes to Liverpool, they almost remind me of the old Manchester United. The amount of goals I think they have scored in the last 10 minutes is equivalent to what Manchester United used to do in the old days, what they used to call Fergie time. Now with Arne Slot, it's very similar. It's that resilience and perseverance, it's of not giving up, continuously to fight for something, continuously making sure they can get that 3 points. I've never seen Liverpool settling for a draw, and that is obviously the qualities that you want in your players when you're competing to win a Premier League title. I am of the opinion also that he inherited a very good squad of consistent performers. Your Trent Alexander, your Van Dijk, even Mo Salah. These are guys that done it over the last 3-5 years for Liverpool. And to get that squad from Jurgen Klopp, I think he probably came in at the best time for Liverpool as far as continuity were concerned. He To win the Premier League in your first season is never easy, but he's well, I think, on his way to doing that. There are a little bit of obviously uncertainties with especially the three players, Trent and Virgil, and also Mo Salah. Why they haven't signed any contracts as yet? It doesn't seem to have bothered the players because the performances on the field definitely warrants them being Liverpool players. And who knows, that might actually just turn the Liverpool management in favour of keeping the three of them for the next couple of years when it comes to that. And Arsenal again, I think the fans must be so frustrated. Every season they come so close, and yet they can't get over that final hurdle as far as winning the Premier League is concerned. Whether it's a lack of experience, we know that there will always be a club who will promote young players. Again, the most recent one for me is Lewis Skelly being promoted to the first team, and again, that's a philosophy that Arsene Wenger instilled over 2 decades ago when he came to the Premier League and bringing the likes of Thierry Henry, Robert Pires, Patrick Vieira. He brought sort of what we say average players and made them superstars. And I think he's always emphasized that when it comes to Arsenal, we don't sign superstars. We sign normal players and we make them superstars. And I think that's a very unfortunate thing because also promoting young players, it means again, like Austin said, you are going to lose games because young players need to pick up experience, and the only way they can get experience is by playing games. And that's why they've always been bold in playing these players, whether it be big matches or even FA Cup games. They will always promote their own in order to get them to the next level. Nottingham Forest, like I said earlier, again, I think probably the surprise package of the Premier League this season. With the consistent performances that they've given and the amount of games they've won. I don't think anybody expected them to be in that position. It will be difficult or tough to obviously make that top four. Chelsea's also one that with Maresca that's really done well. It's just again, it's a word in professional football that's sometimes undermined or not taken seriously, but inconsistency is the demise of a lot of clubs when you cannot get results on a regular basis. And Liverpool on the other side have shown with consistency what they're capable of doing. So hence they find themselves in the leading position for the Premier League, and even the fact that they won 7 out of 7 in the Champions League. It shows obviously that they are a quality team.
So let's go to the Champions League. I mean, personally, I haven't enjoyed the format at all. I love
Is it?
watching. I love watching big games with big teams and the matches, those group stages where you've got powerhouses playing against each other all the time. I found it difficult to choose a match in the evening on any of the evenings, and obviously, the
Mm,
Champions League is probably my favourite thing to watch outside of the Premier League. But
Yeah.
clubs like RB Leipzig, who I think play a fantastic brand of football, that just fallen off the bottom of the to the bottom of the log.
Yeah.
Uh, you would expect young boys not to do well. The teams from Prague, Sparta Prague, etc., not to do well. But I haven't seen any standout performances in this league other than Real Madrid. Sorry, not Real Madrid. They've been woeful. But Barcelona, Liverpool certainly stand out. Now we get to the quarterfinal stage, and this is really where the big action happens. So we've got one more match day. And my view, looking at those 24 teams, is we will see the top teams back in the top knockout stages. But
Yeah.
are you predicting any particular team or teams that are going well in these knockout stages? Mine is certainly Liverpool, just because of their knockout heritage. But I can't see another
Mm.
team other than Barcelona that I really would predict to be in the final against Liverpool at this stage. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think it's always going to be one of those things where not everybody's going to be happy with the format. But I just feel it sort of levels the playing field, because in the old days when you had the old group stages, you almost guaranteed that these certain two teams will qualify, and the other two would be the whooping boys of the group stage. Now it's very, very different. I think PSG is probably the one team that could find themselves in a very, very difficult position, being in 22nd place at this moment in time, and they've got Stuttgart away, who is not an easy team to play, especially in Germany itself. Even the first game of the league phase, Stuttgart ended up losing 3-1 at Real Madrid. But if you go back and watch that game, they dominate in every aspect, with even possession at the Bernabeu. Imagine Stuttgart at the Bernabeu dominating possessions, the amount of opportunities they had. When you have your player of the match, I always say, when the player of the match is the goalkeeper, Courtois, then it shows you that actually Real Madrid had a tough time. And this game against PSG, match their eighth, is not going to be easy for them. With all the money they've spent, I always expect PSG to win the league every year. With the amount of money they've spent, they should win the League in France every year. But it's on the Champions League front. Obviously, the closer they've come has been runners up, and it hasn't really been going their way. Very similar to Man City until about 3 years ago, where they won the Champions League. Sorry, so that also warrants obviously the amount of money that you've spent. I think when it comes also to the knockout stages, that's when to the last 16, that is when you will see the so-called bigger teams make their way into the knockout stage. I always believe if you want to win the Champions League, you've got to beat the best teams in Europe. You've got to beat them. So whether you play them in the last 16, whether you play them in the semi-finals, you have to beat the best teams on your way to actually lifting that trophy.
Garnacho
Mm.
to Chelsea would be a massive move. I mean, I sense that Rashford, Garnacho, and Anthony are one of the problems in the change room for Manchester United. But Chelsea taking on Garnacho could be a massive
I think
move.
they last time I heard they put in a 45 million pound bid. I think United won 60. So also, I think from a United point of view, it has to be also how many players we can get off the books as far as the salaries are concerned. I think if you get rid of Garnacho, Anthony, and Martial, that's probably between 800 and £1 million a week of salaries that's going to be off your books. And I think that will be important in order to bring in new players, because you can't justify bringing in new players and you still have these guys on massive salaries. Other ones that will also they'll be looking to maybe move on is definitely, I think, someone like Harry Maguire is one of them. We know Casemiro at the end of the season will probably move on to Saudi Arabia. But I think the players on the higher salaries are the ones that Ruben Amorim is definitely looking to move on. Garnacho going to Chelsea will be interesting. I think they've got a quality squad at this moment in time, but Maresca is definitely trying to build something and not just depend so much on Carlton Palmer. Sorry, Cole Palmer. I think yeah, the striking department for me is the biggest issue for Chelsea. It's not very consistent, or nor do they have enough backup as far as players on the bench are concerned. In the past, they had so many top quality strikers. Hernan Crespo, your Drogba's, Etu, all these guys, that top quality strikers, and that's why they could win the league so many times under Mourinho and various other managers. So, yeah, even Thomas Tuchel managed to win the Champions League within 6 months. But that also you've got to obviously compliment the manager that was before him. So for Chelsea, it is about ensuring the right business is being done. Everybody wants to make transfers. They want to buy players. They want to get players in, but it's got to be the right fit. And like you've indicated, that is the biggest issue at this time with Manchester United. The players around the dressing room is not good, and sometimes it becomes a little bit toxic. And when you're in the situation you find yourself in, like Manchester United, you need players around you that can be positive, players that can add value, players of the quality that justifies being a Manchester United player. And I don't think all of them at this moment in time at United are worthy of that title.
All right, as always, we like to look at your moments of the week from the eyes of the man who's played against some of the best and who's seen some of the best football this week. Great goals, great moments, great teams. Let's start with goal of the week.
I think the goal of the week for me has to come from the Champions League game with Real Madrid. Without a doubt, I think Benny Jr. goal, he's shown the quality. I think everybody was surprised him not getting the Ballon d'Or, but it hasn't, let him down in a way that his performances have gone backwards. So again, he's shown his quality. It was a great team goal, but I think for him to finish off that final move with the way he did it, the amount of skill he used, and also with the so-called weaker foot, it has to be for me the goal of the season. It's not probably the most extraordinary goal, but from a team goal perspective, is one that you will totally enjoy.
The way he drags the ball back and sends the two defenders scampering forward was just absolute genius.
Almost running into each other.
Yeah, it's kind of like watching Alcaraz playing tennis. You never know if he's going to come with a forehand to the back or to drop it short.
Yeah.
There's unexpected things in football that really turn us on. What about your player of the week? So many good players on form at the moment, all competing for next year's Ballon d'Or, but there have been a few standouts. Who's your standout for the week?
I think for me, is the evergreen Robert Lewandowski. To get 2 goals in a game again, to be in that elite list of players getting 100 plus goals in the Champions League with Messi and Ronaldo. He's just shown, obviously, that age is only a number. He's been doing it for the last 10 years, very similar to other players like Vinny. I think a couple of seasons ago, he expected to win the Ballon d'Or. It wasn't to be. It went to another player. But again, he has shown that when it comes to goal poaching, to goal scoring, he is one of the best in the world. And Robert Lewandowski having 9 goals in his last 7 games for Champions League alone, it shows the quality that he's got. And I think for me, going forward, he will definitely have a shout as far as the Ballon d'Or is concerned. Everything depends on how far Barcelona will get in this campaign as far as the Champions League and also on the league front. Will they be able to recover that league title from Real Madrid this season? I saw Arne Slot has changed the rule now at Liverpool. They no longer sleep in hotels a night before a game. They sleep at their own houses. He feels and he senses that it's better to sleep on a bed that you're more comfortable with than every week going to a hotel, you sleep on a different bed, and come match day, you're still expected to perform. So you sleep, and we actually did it at Charlton. We used to sleep at home. We go to the training ground, have a meal, or sometimes you even have a meal at home, and you just meet at the stadium. And for us, it was probably the best thing because, okay, some players took it to the extreme where they would sleep at home, but they would sleep in a different room because they didn't want the little kids to disturb their sleep. I had no problem whatsoever. My wife used to say, "You getting up in the middle of the night to feed the one of the boys, you would have your best games the next day." I said, "Oh, so I have to keep doing it." She said, "No, you don't have to, but I'm just saying, everybody's got their own superstition or their own way of dealing with certain things in preparation for a match." he used to pick me up on the side of the road to give me a lift to the training ground, because I used to walk to the training ground, and when he worked at Old Mutual, he had to come past my house or past the area I used to live, and he would get me on the side of the road and pick me up to take me to training. We started our national team, campaign in playing four nations tournaments for Bafana. We started together. We won the Nations Cup together. Very unfortunate. We went to the World Cup '98, first World Cup. We went together, but he did his knee as the tournament started. So that's a massive disappointment, which we obviously would love to speak to him about, because those are also things, including myself, where 2002, I was the captain for the whole campaign of the World Cup. That's the last time that we qualified for a World Cup, not hosted or got in another way, qualified 2002, 22, 23 years ago. And I was the captain, and I tore my Achilles 4 months before the tournament. So I ended up watching the World Cup at home on my sofa, watching the games on TV, very similar to Andre, being at the World Cup, doing his knee, and then you find yourself going home having surgery. So, those type of setbacks in sport, how do you bounce back? How do you actually stay focused? How do you mentally, prepare yourself in order for the next few months, what you want to do in order to get back to the level that you want to?
And he also played in the UK, so the both of you share that experience. I think you,
Yeah,
Eric, and Andre were all there around the same time, so if I remember correctly. I
I
know.
actually I went for trial at his club at Fulham
Yeah.
when Kevin Keegan and, is it Roy Wilkins? Is it Roy Wilkins? I think he played for United. Um, the two of them
Ray,
were the coaching.
Ray
Ray
Wilkins.
Wilkins. Ray Wilkins, yeah. The two of them were the head coach and assistant coach. And they loved me. Andre came to me, he's like, oh, coaches love you. But then the Americans, not being, how can I say, when it comes to transfer, they weren't that experienced at the time. It was just 96, 97. They just started the league in MLS. They bought me, imagine, they bought me for $150,000. And 5 months later, they're asking Fulham $2 million. And Fulham just said, no, that's too much. We can't pay that money.
It was
And yeah,